Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. For our year-round residents, you are familiar with the show and you are very engaged in town government, and this is just to supplement what you already know. And for our seasonal visitors, you should know that we have a very involved citizen engagement in town government, and we like to tell people what's going on, and you might be interested, especially if you're a seasonal resident. All right, so the select board is on its summer schedule, which means they meet twice a month. They met this week, they do not meet next week. Their next meeting will be July 24th. So we had a pretty long meeting this week, didn't we, Gino?
We sure did.
So we had a town department update about 4th of July, and the idea was to hear from public safety, culture and tourism, and public works, specifically about what went well, what didn't, is anything different this year. And the general consensus, without going into excruciating detail, seemed to be that everything went pretty well, and the town's efforts to stamp out the underage and other partying that was getting out of control a few years ago has been successful. So we talked a bit about moving the fireworks back to July 4th. We've been having it on the 5th for the past few years. And we're going to probably put that on an upcoming agenda.
I thought it was because we couldn't get enough temporary police officers.
Well, exactly.
Oh, I see.
So,
okay.
Essentially, we need
don't
all
need
hands on deck from Nantucket Police to deal with the party situation during the day. They cannot then be deployed to the fireworks at night. There's not enough resources, energy.
Okay.
They can't work all day like that and then work into the night. So, and we had been supplementing with state police officers. There were fewer of them this year, I think, than there had been in years before, but they've been very critical to the effort, so we thank them very much. So a couple things with regard to the 4th of July, though. So we're going to be talking about moving July 4th fireworks to July 4th in 2020. But also, I guess so general consensus was everything went pretty well. The water balloon ban during the water fight seems to have been working. We've been trying to educate people not to bring water balloons to the water fight. They break into shards, obviously, and wash into storm drains and go out into the harbor, so we don't like that. And word was that there were none, if only a few, if none, I don't know how to say that, it's
okay.
Friday, water balloons viewed on Main Street during the water fight. So that went well, and public safety seemed to say that beaches were very crowded and some of them had to be shut down to vehicles at certain points, but for the most part, people were okay.
Why are water balloons not accepted, Libby?
Well, I just said, because the shards get into the harbor and
that's it?
pollutant.
Okay. All right, well,
Also,
I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, there's that, and also people sometimes get a bit too boisterous with water balloons, and they throw them at people's faces.
Well, that's another thing.
Bodies.
The harbor and keeping
kind of
environmentally
there's that, but it's also kind of a safety issue. We find elderly people were getting hit with them, small children. It's not a pleasant experience.
I agree.
So that seems to be working. Water guns is another situation. Water guns between little kids are totally fine. But sometimes there are bigger kids, and even little kids a little bit, who get a little crazy with the water guns, and they're not just a little tiny water pistol. They're, super soakers and other things that are used against elderly people and small children. And again, people were starting to complain that it was getting a bit out of control. You bring your water gun down?
No, but we can keep water guns around.
Yeah, we're not objecting to the water guns. We're just objecting to, I shouldn't say objecting. We are just asking that people please be a little more responsible with them and so we have a couple of rules. Your both feet had to be on Main Street. Think about that. That means you can't use your water gun from an office above a building on Main Street. Unfair advantage.
Yeah, that's
and
unfair.
Don't shoot anybody smaller than you.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a work in progress. And the other thing about 4th of July, but not just 4th of July partying, has to do with pallets. And I've been doing some lecturing about pallets lately based on input that I'm getting from town and other agencies that pallets are being found all over the island, beaches, in big piles. for bonfire purposes. So people really who are doing this really need to think about it. Do not do this. Bonfires leave behind nails, and sometimes the fires aren't totally put out. The fire is put out, but there's hot coals and things left burning, smoldering shards of wood and things left behind. They're not always entirely covered up right. This can really lead to serious injury. And the nails that I've seen gathered are quite amazing.
Right.
Not in a good way. We've also heard that sometimes businesses put their pallets out in front of their stores or wherever and with big signs that say free. No, take it to the landfill, please. It's free disposal. Just don't add to the problem.
Are people allowed to have bonfires?
Bonfires are not allowed without a permit from the fire department, and I'm told they rarely issue a bonfire permit, if ever.
So if
not
somebody's
really.
having a fire on the beach.
A cooking fire is a different matter.
Okay.
A small, grill situation.
Okay, grill.
But a big, no, they're not. They're
Okay.
issues with bonfires.
People like to have fires,
I know.
at beach party.
I know they do. I'm like that myself, but you got to be responsible and careful with it. Okay, next meeting, as I said, is July 24th. All right, we had an interesting. So we have a section on the agenda called pending contracts, and that's a list of contracts that town administration is going to approve unless the board wants to question it or hold it up or not approve it. And anyway, I try to explain when there's something kind of unusual or that I want to bring to the board's attention. So we had an unusual one this week. You remember what it was?
No.
The goat. The goats.
I want to be there.
Yeah, you do want to
I'm
be
going to try to be there for Monday and see it.
So we're trying a new thing called goatscaping. There's a local business that hires out goats to eat invasive species and weeds and other vegetation wherever you need it to be gone. So the town has hired the group. It's called Goatin' Around, and you will see this on Pulpus Road for the next few weeks beginning on Monday. They're in a pen, an enclosed pen that they hopefully can't get out of, and the pen will move from time to time when they're done eating their little area, and it's green. There's no, carbon footprint left behind. And it's interesting. And it's effective,
let's
is
see how
the
it
idea.
works. This is a test.
So it's a test. So we're going to see how it works. And again, they will start on Monday on Pulpus Road, kind of near Don Allen. And they will head out.
Okay, I'll be there.
So if you see some goats on Pulpus Road in a little pen, don't panic. They are there on purpose.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to get some social media out on that on Monday, hopefully. All right, I can't go through every single thing on the agenda because it'll take too long, but I'm not going to go through the valet parking thing
Oh, why?
because that took too long. And
Can you mention anything about it?
yeah, I'll mention a little bit about it. Okay, so as people know, we have a valet parking service that the town allows to use some town property for. It has traditionally been for the last few years at the National Grid lot, but the National Grid said this year you can't use that lot, we need it, and they're actively using it. So the board said to town administration, we want this service, find somewhere else. We scoured the downtown to see where else we could find. We don't have large tracts of unbuilt on land to put valet parking. So we came up with what we felt was the least worst option, which nobody liked, but it was the least hated, I guess, which is an area in the town lot, and I know people are upset about this because it does take away parking for people who work downtown, and they could potentially utilize the valet, but I know there's a cost to it. So it's a section in the town lot, and you can valet park there, and there's also some spots out here in front of the town building, which was already allowed in the evening. Now it is allowed all day. And those vehicles, if you come to Broad Street, your vehicle is probably going to be taken to Jetty's upper lot. And there's a certain amount of space there that has been allowed to the valet. So it turned out that the license that we gave them to operate this did not allow for overnight parking in the town lot or at Broad Street. So after a pretty lengthy discussion about this, the board finally agreed to allow a certain number of spaces in the town lot for overnight parking and to allow it here on Broad Street. So that's how it ended up, pretty much. Okay, let's see.
By the way, now that the parking lot isn't available at National Grid, do you see I mean, we're missing that, aren't we? I mean, is it proof that we should start thinking about having some sort of downtown parking in that location?
I don't know
Is
if
your
it's,
feeling of that?
I don't
How
know
do
if
you
it's, well, I don't know if it's proof or not. It certainly would be very handy to have that, and we have entered into discussions with the owners of that property. There are 3 owners. National Grid owns the bulk of it, but also Nantucket Island Resorts and Winthrop Associates own parts of it. And we are discussing with them, well, they have a proposal to redevelop that entire site, and it's right now being called Harbor Place. And there was some discussion about a parking garage at the Grid site where the valet parking was. And we are more, I think, right at the moment, talking about an open parking lot, just surface parking. But we're not, and there's infrastructure issues with the development, and there's a zoning potential change and things like that. So we're sorting through that, but we haven't finished it off yet. But hopefully that eventually would be.
Probably be a big parking lot though, right?
It would be a big parking lot. Okay, we also had a presentation about a parks master plan that we've been working on, and this has resulted from surveys, a survey, and community stakeholder group input and things of that nature. And I think the consultants, Weston and Sampson, this is all on the town website, gave a presentation about all the various park areas, what is offered there, what people want to see there based on the community input in the surveys. And we're probably going to initially focus on Tom Nevers and work out what we're going to do there. It would remain to be probably an active recreational area with additional paths to the beach, shore up the bluff, deal with the debris out there that's coming out of the bluff right now. Sidebar on that. That debris, we've had some ground penetrating radar done on that area. That debris extends way into the site. So we can't just remove it from the beach because we don't know what the bluff will do. So we are going to need to develop a plan with engineering assistance to figure out, excuse me, how to remove the debris and restore the bluff. And that's probably going to be pretty costly.
We don't want to be too close to the ocean at this point, do we?
Well, no, and we don't want to put a lot of stuff, buildings and other infrastructure near the bluff.
Right.
So that was talked about. There was talk about improving the parking, having additional fields or different fields, and none of this is written in stone at this point. And as we move forward, we're going to continue to have public input meetings until we have a plan for starting again with Tom Nevers.
We need a community center, Libby. I know you've heard me say this for years, but I mean, other towns have one.
I know.
We seem to have everything else that other towns have, but we don't have a place, an indoor place, where a majority of the people can go and have gym and possible indoor tennis courts.
Yep,
the tennis team, you know.
There's I'm gonna give you a little lecture.
Okay.
I'm sorry about this, but every time people bring this up, I feel it is my duty, as the overseer of the big picture, to mention these things. People want a community center. People want a senior center. People want a new Our Island home. People want a water quality lab.
Water quality?
We need to do something with our municipal offices. We have numerous coastal resiliency issues to deal with. We have a landfill that needs to be dealt with. And we have a number of sewer projects that need to be dealt with. Some of those things are funded through user fees. Most of them are funded through the tax rate.
Right.
All of them are going to require additional resources. We are probably looking at the beginnings of an economic downturn in the next year or so, if not right now. So we need to be really cognizant of the things that we're getting into and how we are going to keep them going when people say they can't afford things.
So probably we're going to look at a tax increase at some point.
Well, for some of these things to happen,
a
tax increase is required.
Right.
So it's just, it's just not that simple.
Right.
And what, I hear from all of the groups that want their one thing. And they kind of know about the other things, but they are only focused on their thing. So
no, but I think you can combine a bunch of things in this that could work. A senior center can be in a community center. I mean, there's no reason why everything shouldn't be in one place. But anyway, that's that's something else.
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah.
We could talk for several hours about that.
Right.
Anyway, the Parks Master Plan, more community discussion to follow on that. The Nantucket Data Platform was in. That is a group that basically helps gather different types of data and gives it to governments and other groups so that they can make better decisions. If we know what the data is on X, then we can make a decision on Y, understanding what we're getting into and not just sort of guess at it. So they have 3 projects they're doing for us. They gave an update on them, and we will be talking with them in the next few weeks or months about additional potential.
Do they charge for that?
Thanks. Yes, they do.
Okay.
All right, we had Town Administration's annual water quality update. For the past several years, we've been giving the board an update on what all of the town departments that have anything to do with water quality are doing in terms of programs, plans, projects, initiatives, all of that sort of thing. Numerous departments have something to do with water quality. So we talked about that. There were a few questions about it. Natural Resources Director gave an update about sand use at some projects at some properties on Baxter Road. This was not related to the Sconset Beach Preservation Fund project. This was related to private properties that have permits from the Conservation Commission to add sand to in front of their properties along the bluff there. And there was a concern that there was material in the sand that was not allowed or appropriate or could be in violation of their permit. So he came and gave an update about that. And essentially, they were basically allowed to do what they were doing, and there's going to be, I think, further examination of the material, but it was not totally clear that there was an actual violation. It sounded like possibly there was
But
not.
those folks over there are concerned, especially after the article that came out in the Inquirer Mirror.
I did not read that
Oh, okay, yeah, well, it's...
yet.
I think it's created a little bit of a small storm amongst the real estate people because it came out in the summertime. It's about coastal resiliency.
Well, yes.
And that area is vulnerable.
Is this part of the series that the INM is doing on? Yeah, okay. That is sort of related, but this was a very specific instance of what was in this sand that was dumped in front of these properties. So
Yeah.
more information from Natural Resources. We had a bunch of traffic safety recommendations. Sometimes traffic safety recommendations go off on a tangent, and some of these went off on a tangent.
Fun little tangents?
No, I wouldn't really call it fun. Just tedious is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And everybody has an opinion. They're not all the same.
Well,
for example, loading zones.
Okay. Commercial loading
zones. We have talked about loading zones for decades. I'm not kidding. Decades. And everybody has an opinion on where they should be, how long they should be open for, when public parking should be allowed in them, who uses them, how they're used, blah, blah, blah. So we had that discussion again. And no real and clear resolution. We're going to talk about it again at another time.
The basic argument is that they're taking up parking spaces.
Well, the basic argument, I guess, in a nutshell, is that often the trucks that come into town that do deliveries don't use the loading zone, or the loading zone is taken by a truck, so they just double park, and their business is to get their stuff delivered as quickly as possible and get in and out of town as quickly as possible. And I know they do their best, but oftentimes they double park, or not even double park, block a street entirely so nobody can get by it for 15, 20 minutes, which
especially when you got a giant car.
Well,
like everybody has here.
Yes.
We're all into giant.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a one-way street and there's literally no way to get around it. In any event, it's a summer problem. There's more businesses. There's more places that need deliveries. The trucks are probably bigger. With Amazon and other, mail order things, there's lots of stuff that gets delivered.
Yep.
So we're all going to have to either be a little patient with it, or have more loading zones, I guess. Or we're trying to determine where they are best placed. And anyway, there's going to be probably more discussion about this at a later time. I think it got late and people start to get cranky after about 9:30.
Oh yeah.
And we the board sort of said, all right, can we talk about this later? So that's kind of what happened. Okay, so that is mostly what happened this Wednesday. I want to mention two more things. We had a waste summit last night. at the community room at the public safety building. And this was the sort of a kickoff discussion with the community and with interested parties like the commercial haulers as to pretty much what we do now with our landfill operation and our solid waste facility, and what our options are for the future. Our contract with our landfill operator, Waste Options, expires in 2025, and we already for about a year now, we've been starting to look at various options. We could keep doing what we're doing. We could change one or more components of what we're doing, including should we ship everything off island. We heard from our solid waste consultant that shipping everything off island is nowhere near as easy as it sounds, and it's costly, and it's difficult with some other issues that have occurred worldwide with places that used to take some of this material that now do not take that material.
And they'll take it and they'll ship it back to you.
And also, are there other things that people can do to reduce, reuse, and recycle, and reduce what goes to the landfill and separate it better so that we have better quality compost and that we can separate stuff out or not get things that go into the landfill. So there's a big thing that's going to start impacting this in 2020, which is a single-use plastics ban that was approved by town meeting in October of 2018 at a special town meeting. And that, I was just writing something up about it for my town manager e-newsletter, which by the way will come out next week. And if you're not already a subscriber to it, please go online to subscribe. A lot of information in there. Anyway, the single-use plastics ban is a ban on certain types of plastics for commercial sale and distribution, including, this is not an exhaustive list because I don't have it totally in my head yet, but single-use coffee pods, single-use drinking water bottles of 1 liter or less, six-pack yolks, flexible yolks, plastic yolks, non-compostable takeout containers, drinking straws and stirrers and cups, that sort of thing. So we have an internal group right now that is reviewing how we're going to implement this. It's going to be a very big public information campaign at the beginning, and we are going to be meeting with groups like Stop and Shop and other commercial businesses into the fall. We have an informational session scheduled for Monday, July 29th, 6 to 8 at the Public Safety Building, second floor training room. We'll get some information out about this in the next week or two. And anyway, the hope is that will help alleviate some of the material going to the landfill, because it won't be going there anymore, as much as it is now anyway. So back to the summit. So we talked about, a lot of people had some good ideas. The haulers expressed some concern about how they can physically manage more separated waste streams. And we talked a bit about that and how they can accomplish it and what their customers and the public can do to help and what we all can do to get it figured out. So more to come on this. We're going to be having a series of meetings into the fall and winter about this, probably even into next year, because it's a serious issue that we all need to deal with. And it's not just, it is landfill centered, but there's also a lot of other issues that just are part of the whole overall picture. Roadside litter, coastal litter, pet waste, all of these things have got to be dealt with.
We are got to start taking the turn.
We do.
To the environment. Everything has to be sacred. You can't, everything. I'm talking fertilizer, chemicals, anything you put in your body.
Yeah.
Of course, plastic. We got to completely change the way we look at how we treat the earth. We are just got to do it. And whatever it takes, education, government, corporate involvement,
corporate
all
responsibility.
of these guys have got to be, and it can't be about the money. Okay? I mean, I'm sorry, no more, oh, you're going to hurt my income. Well, get another job, because really, seriously, because we're talking about generations of people beyond us.
Yes, and it's easier said than done. All of this is easier said than done.
Of course.
But we got to start somewhere, and you start little by little and grow it.
And this is a good first step.
It's a good first step. So lots more discussion is going to be happening about that. Yesterday, different subject now, myself, the assistant town manager, and the harbor master went over to Harwich. We had a Cape Cod managers meeting over there. We have a monthly managers meeting. It's in a different town every month. And we were visiting the new Harwich Harbor Masters building. And they did some renovations to their marina. And so we got a little tour of it, really great tour. We are going to be constructing a new harbor master building by over the winter. We will start, and it will be under construction during next summer. So there's also more to follow on that, because we haven't even bid it out yet. But we got some good ideas over there by looking at their building. Their building is bigger than what we will end up having, because they have other departments in it. But it was interesting, because the harbor master and I also went to Marshfield last summer for an event there that also featured Marshfield's new harbor master building. And we noticed a lot of similarities between the Harwich and the Marshfield building and other buildings that are being built now for this type of purpose. And there's, like, for example, building up and using composite materials that are resilient for flooding and things like that. I mean, they're all sort of obvious things, but it was interesting that it's like a trend.
That's great.
So that was great. And I don't know. It's Friday.
That was a lot.
That was a lot
there. There is.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a lot of people watching this show.
Okay, good, because it's hopefully good information.
Well, of course it is. It's information people should be aware of.
It's that time of year where myself and some of the other department heads get invited to groups that want to meet with us.
Oh, yeah.
So I have so far been to the Advisory Committee of Non-Voting Taxpayers, the Nantucket Community Association.
Wait a minute. Those people interest me. The people that non-voting taxpayers. What are their main concerns right now?
Well, let's see. I'm thinking back. They were concerned that they asked. I gave them a kind of a review of what town admin is up to with projects and programs and stuff, and they asked about Harbor Place and parking.
Yep.
They asked about the roundabouts and traffic that didn't pass at the election, but passed at town meeting. They wanted to know about that. What are we going to be bringing back? How are we going to deal with the traffic? All that stuff that everybody always asks every year. And what else did they ask about? We talked about the plastics ban. I can't remember what else, but it was. They all have sort of similar concerns. I'm going to the Brant Point Association tomorrow morning.
Oh.
Yes.
That'll be interesting. Will you share next time?
Yes, I will.
Good.
I will.
The
organizer assured me that it would be cordial. Not that there's any reason why it wouldn't be. The Brant Point area is rightly concerned about coastal resiliency.
Sure.
And the conference that we just had a couple weeks ago, which doesn't have good news for low-lying areas of Nantucket.
We may have to at some point put a big giant, like they do in the Netherlands. They have one of those walls.
A seawall.
A seawall that rises. When the weather gets really bad, it just.
Someone brought that up during the conference. Something.
It could be done
along those lines.
Because of the way it's laid out right now.
Yep, could be.
My God, that was just.
You and I are gonna be long gone by then. Not that we shouldn't start planning for something, but.
Right. Well, you never know, Libby. It only takes one really big giant storm to.
Yeah.
Make everybody
It's scary, it really is. All right, so that's it. Thank you very much. See you next time.